Hey, now welcome. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. And we are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. And I'm excited because let me tell you, it is game time. We are getting ready for fourth quarter. And let me tell you something. Now, y'all know back in the day, all I need to say is Bulls. All I need to say is three-peat. All I need to say is Jordan, Pippen, Armstrong, Phil Jackson. All I need to say is dominate. I remember back in the 90s, and I remember being a freshman and a sophomore at Northwestern University, and all of my friends from Detroit and from LA and from Philadelphia and from Boston, you know, they thought they had it going on. But oh, baby, the Bulls came 91, 92, 93. And I always remember there were times when they were down in the third quarter. So are you down in the third quarter? Are you looking at 2020 like, hey, what is going on? What happened this year has taken me out? Well, let me tell you something. When you're down in the third quarter, that's the time to reboot, to rethink, to recharge, to reinvigorate, and get back on your game. So this is the fourth quarter, and I'm going to spend the next several days, weeks, months helping you to find and reactivate and remember your power. Because see, I remember when they were down in the third quarter. And I remember they'd go and they'd get some other folks and they'd get some other strategies and they'd figure out how they were going to do it. And then right there at the buzzer, there was that winning shot. And what I want you to know right now is not the time for you to give up. Now is not the time for you to say this year is over. Now is not the time for you to just start spending money that you don't have because you think it doesn't matter. Now is not the time to start getting all nostalgic about the holidays and getting depressed about the holidays because you don't have any money or your business has gone under and so on and so forth. Now is the time to show what you are made of. Now is the time to go back to the drawing board. Now is the time to pick yourself up. Surround yourself with the people who are going to give you life, who are going to give you love, who are going to lift you up, life, love, and lifting, and who are going to help you master this thing so we can all move beyond 2020. Because let me tell you something. There is life after this, and this too shall pass. Everything that comes in terms of a storm, some storms are not meant to just wipe you out. Some storms are meant to clear your path. Everything that happens in our life that is bad, and many times those things turn out to be good. You know, the Bible says that all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So I'm going to ask you, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Do you need to rethink some things? Has this pandemic given you an opportunity to sit down, to rethink, to retool, to figure out what you're doing with your money, your time, your energy, your people? Now is the time to put your strategy in place for the fourth quarter. Let me tell you something. Everything that I've ever done that's been significant in my career has happened in the fourth quarter. Every goal that I have achieved or every milestone that has been considered to be phenomenal or like a miracle or how did she do that? It's always happened in the fourth quarter. I remember when I first went into the investment business and I started in third quarter. I went and got my investment licenses. They told me it was going to take me 90 days. It was in September. I was like, oh no, I don't have 90 days. So I went and took the class and I took the exam in less than a week. Now, I almost drove myself crazy. I was on Mountain Dew for like 4 days straight, and I did not realize that when you drink too much Mountain Dew, you also have short-term memory loss. And so here I am. I've been studying for my Series 6 license and my Series 63, and I'm studying, and all of a sudden, It's the morning of the exam, and I can't remember anything. Like, I don't even know my name. I don't know 1 + 1 = 2, let alone the difference between a stock and a bond and a bull and a bear and all these other stock market terms. Now, I remember calling my husband, Demetrius, crying, saying, oh my God, I got to take this exam, but I can't remember anything. And he told me to go to sleep. You know, he is the quiet to my storm. He is the peace to my madness. He is the calm and the sensible one when I'm spinning a little bit out of control. He told me to take a nap. You know, sometimes when your kids are acting up, all they need to do is take a nap. When Grandma B used to whoop me with that switch, I used to take a nap and I'd still get up after and I'd be okay for a few hours and I'd get right back to doing what I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing. But I took a nap. I woke up. I had 1 hour to study, and then I had exactly 45 minutes to drive and get to the exam center. And so I got up and I went and I studied the exact things that I was supposed to that I'd forgotten. I drove, I took the exam, and the rest was history. Well, I started working that year for the globe's largest investment and insurance firm. And I had to go through training, so I couldn't really get into production until November. So here it is. There's all these contests and awards, and I wasn't really trying to, win anything, but I ended up becoming Rookie of the Year and being a member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is a extremely prestigious circle to be in when you're in the insurance and financial services industry. And I did that in 6 weeks. The qualification period was a year. I did it in 6 weeks, and I did it in the fourth quarter. You see, in the third quarter, I started to look at my life. I started to look at what I had going. I started to look at the holes that I needed to plug up. I started to take an inventory of myself. And so that's what I'm going to ask you to do. We have a few more days left. And, and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the month. It doesn't matter if it's the year. But what I want us to do is I want us to master the art of the fourth quarter strategy. I want us to find our power. I want us to find our wits. I want us to find our genius. I want us to find our income streams. And I want you to know that no matter what they're telling you about this time that's coming up, because it is coming, there will be a terrible recession. Job loss will increase. Rich will get richer and poor will get poor. But it doesn't have to be. I often tell people, I say, let me tell you something. In order for there to be rich people, there have to be poor people. Let me repeat. In order for there to be rich people, there have to be poor people. Because if everybody was on the same playing field, let's say they gave a stimulus out, a real stimulus check, because the stimulus checks they sent out didn't stimulate anybody. Did it stimulate you? I don't even understand how they think they're stimulating somebody. You need about 3 more zeros on a check in order to get stimulated, if I'm, can just say so myself. The point is, if they really wanted to stimulate everyone, the same way you bail out these companies, bail out people. Give everybody $1 million. Let them pay off their houses. Let them pay off their student loans. Let them have enough capital to start their business. But if everybody had enough money to actually be financially free, then nobody would, because nobody would go work at the gas station. Nobody would go work at the fast food restaurant. Nobody would go work in the establishments that the rich create for the poor to be trapped in. Okay, so in order for there to be rich people, there have to be poor people. There's a strategy for that, and you get to decide where you're going to be. Now, this isn't about having $50 million. This isn't about having $50 billion. This is about being able to make decisions and to choose what you're going to do with your financial future. This is about not going to sleep stressed out at night, not knowing if you can pay your light bill, your gas bill, your mortgage, your rent, your car note. This is about having true power. And I remember having more than enough money that I knew how to manage. I had more money than I had the sense to take care of, because I was a fool when it came to money at one particular time. And I'd spend money on everything. Now, what happens when you start to take care of your money starts to take care of you. And when you have enough money to do whatever it is that you want to do, then you don't really want to do anything. I don't go anywhere. I don't spend money on anything. Somebody tried to shame me on social media because of my purse that I was carrying. It's a nice bag, but guess what? I can afford it. If the purse costs more than the amount of money you can keep in it on a regular basis, leave it on the rack. But I can afford my purse. And guess what? Because I know how to live my life like a business, it was also a tax write-off. So what I'm saying is, let's understand the strategy. Let's put our strategy in place. Let's take it to the next level, and let's not give up. So I'm going to share with you some tips, some things that we can start to do, not just now in preparation for beyond 2020, but I'm going to help us to do some things that we can look at and we can go back to, and we can pull from these things no matter where we are, no matter if we are in 2025, 2029, 3020. I want us to master the money game. You are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. We have to take a break for traffic and weather. We'll be right back. WVON.
Are you an exceptional real estate or financial services professional? Do you have a business or service that can improve the lives of others? You may qualify to serve the world as a member of Lynn's List. Visit www.lynnmillionaire.com. That's www.lynnmillionaire.com or call 888-LYNN-123 extension 5. That's 888-LYNN-123 extension 5 for more details.
Hey, now, welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. And we are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. And, we are talking about the fourth quarter strategy. It's not over until you win, as my big brother Les Brown would say, and you can't fail until you quit, as my mentor and friend Russell Simmons would say. So the first thing that you want to do, if you want to master the fourth quarter, is you have to make a decision. You have to change your mind, and you have to decide that the glass is half full and it's not half empty. Yes, there have been some terrible things that have happened. Yes, there have been some major changes that we did not anticipate. Yes, we were all caught off guard. And unfortunately, some of us may not have just lost money, but unfortunately, some of us have lost loved ones, and we've lost opportunities, and we've lost careers, and so on and so forth. But you've got to decide, if you are still here, what does that mean for you? And so every time I'm in a situation where I don't know what to do, I'm figuring it out, I'm, uncertain, I'm looking at the mistakes that I've made, at some point I get to the place where I say, okay, let me just let this go. And let me tell you what I ask myself. Let me tell you what I say to myself. And let me tell you what I move into. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I always say, God, teach me the lesson so I can get the blessing. You see, there's a lesson in all of this. Did you learn yours? There's a lesson in all of this. Do you know what it is? There's a lesson in all of this. Are you fighting the lesson? You see, the lesson is real. The lesson is the truth. The lesson is like a fact. It's like mathematics. 1 + 1 = 2. Now, you can choose to say it's 3, but you're going to be off. The lesson that you have to learn for yourself is true. It's real. And until you face it, you cannot fix whatever is wrong. I had to learn a lesson right before the pandemic hit. I didn't know what was happening, but I felt like just the world was off. And I had to make a decision to go all the way back to my roots. So, yes, I've been doing television. Yes, I've been in entertainment. Yes, I've been everywhere from the White House to Brazil to South Africa to, you name it. I've been there. I've been having the time of my life. I thought I was living my dream. But earlier this year, I realized that I had to go all the way back to the real deal in real estate. You know what that meant for me? That meant I had to go back to the place where I made the worst mistakes of my life. Now, I had a whole lot of people that I was helping. Lots of people got homes and fixed their credit and so on and so forth. But I wasn't practicing the message that I was teaching. So as I was helping other people, I was not helping myself. And the first thing you have to learn about being something to anybody is that you first have to be that to yourself. You cannot give from an empty cup. You cannot help other people be free if you're still in bondage. I could not truly help other people become financially free, and I was living check to Monday. It's not possible. See, there's only so far the universe is going to let you go in a lie. There's only so far that you're going to be able to get when you're not walking in the truth. And I knew it. It's like I knew that at some point it was all going to either blow up or fall down. And guess what? It did. I was exposed. I lost everything. I had to admit that it was the worst time, but it was the best time. Let me tell you why. I got the lesson. And the lesson was that I had to live my books. The lesson was that I had to follow the same rules I was telling everybody else. The lesson was that I too had to be a product of what it was that I was teaching. I had to learn not to give money away to people just so they wouldn't think I was broke when I was. I had to learn that it was okay to say no. I had to learn those lessons. And once I learned those lessons at zero, then as I began to be restored with abundance and restored with opportunity, I took those lessons with me and did not repeat those mistakes. What has this pandemic taught us? So right before the pandemic hit, I realized I had to go back to teaching. I didn't want to teach. I was cool. First of all, I didn't even want to do the radio show. When Melody called and asked me to do the show, I couldn't say no, so I said yes. But did I want to do it? No. But once I started doing it, I realized I had to do it. Who else was going to do it? Who else was going to teach? Who else was going to talk? I have the message and I'm holding it in and I'm down, and so is everybody else. Because when you do not give to the world what God gave to you, you're going to suffer eventually. So what's inside of you? Get the lesson. So earlier this year, I realized I actually had to start teaching. I couldn't just show up like some big celebrity at the big events and give a speech and go home. I couldn't just go on TV on Steve Harvey and everybody, buy the books and then I just keep on moving. I actually had to get back in the office and start helping people one-on-one, one by one at a time, training. The reason why I say we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and $1 at a time is because that's literally what we're doing. All it takes is one, and each one will teach one. And so I can't help people be financially free by myself, but if I teach 1,000 people, then 1,000 people can teach another 1,000 people, and that's how we're going to do it. But I didn't want to do it. I don't know if I've ever said this publicly. I cried like a baby. Oh, I cried. I sat there because I started creating classes and I saw all the work. I saw all the, if you've ever built anything in life, even your kids, they were babies. You had to take care of them. Now they're adults. And those people who I know who have adult children and they have a new baby, they're a little devastated. It's like going all the way back to the beginning. And quite frankly, I was afraid to fail again. I was like, I can't do that anymore. I can't build a big business with people needing services and so on and so forth. And so I had to get the lesson. And the lesson was to pace myself. The lesson was to delegate. The lesson was to tell the truth and live in the truth. The lesson was to be what it is that you want to see. That was the lesson. So what's your lesson? Is there someone you're enabling? What, were you too reliant upon a career and now that job is no longer there? Did you know you were supposed to start something, start your business, start a new opportunity, launch your new product, but you didn't do it because you were comfortable? What lesson did you learn? Was there a relationship that was out of order? Was there something in your life that you knew you needed to deal with that you didn't deal with because you were comfortable and now the pandemic came and shook it all up? What's the lesson? I promise you, If you learn the lesson, you will get the blessing. We're talking about the fourth quarter strategy. And the first thing that you have to learn, you have to understand in building your fourth quarter strategy is you have to decide that you are not losing, that you are actually winning, because all things work together for good. And you have to simply say to God, teach me the lesson so I can get the blessing. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation. We have to take a break for news, traffic, and weather. We'll be right back. WVON.
Do you want to leave a legacy for your loved ones? Do you know the difference between an estate plan and a will? Are you newly engaged and concerned about getting a prenuptial agreement? Are you married to your child's mother or father? And do you know what happens to insurance money if you are not? Call your wealth counselor, Attorney Deidre Woodstokes. With over 22 years of experience, Attorney Stokes has all the answers you need to help you secure your family's financial future. You can find Attorney Stokes on Lynn's list at www.lynnmillionaire.com. That's www.lynnmillionaire.com, or call 888-LYNN-123. That's 888-596-6123. Protect your legacy now.
Hey, now welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. And we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. We are talking about fourth quarter, getting the game on. It is game time. Whenever the Bulls were down in the third quarter, doing not just the three-peat and repeat and back-to-back dominating season, guess what? They went back to the drawing board and took a look at what they needed to do differently. So that's the same situation we are in. Remember, and this too shall pass. This is not the end of the world. It is not the end of your life. We will move beyond 2020 and we will do it together. So the first thing you have to do, of course, is make the decision, understand that you are not losing, that you're actually winning. Ask God to teach you the lesson so you can get the blessing. Learn the lessons, write them down, journal. You may have to cry. There are some mistakes that you've made that are going to make you sad. There are some mistakes that you've made that are going to have you feeling depressed. There's some mistakes that you've made that you're going to say, how did I do that? Have your moment. Okay, I tell everybody, you get 3 days. Jesus died on a Friday, rose on a Sunday. So whatever you're going through, you get 3 days. Cry, get your ice cream, your Haagen-Dazs, your Ben & Jerry's, your Oreo cookies. Eat whatever you want, but on the third day, rise. Okay, get the lesson. And be honest with yourself. And you don't have to tell everybody else, because sometimes we don't want to admit, right? But tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. Love yourself enough to get the lesson. The next thing you have to do in the fourth quarter is you got to switch up the game. In the fourth quarter, they would come back with it's like, wait a minute. This one used to do that and he used to do that. Now I see it's a whole new strategy. You cannot do what you did for the past 6 months if you want to get into the next year and win. You can't do what you did for the past 6 years. If you started losing this year, let me tell you something. With every major recession, there will be millionaires, billionaires, and witnesses. Which one are you going to be? And let me tell you what I mean by millionaire. Am I saying that you're going to get $1 million next week, next year, or next month? No. But what I am saying is that you'll be on your way there. Because a 7-figure net worth is easier to acquire than you think. A 7-figure net worth is just as easy to acquire as it is to acquire debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. A 7-figure net worth is just as easy to acquire as the time you spend planning, going to the club, trying to send kids to college when they can go to the free school, trying to keep up with a relationship, spending money you don't have. A 7-figure net worth is just as possible as anything else you've ever achieved by accident. Because I don't think that we have achieved lack of wealth on purpose. We've achieved lack of wealth by accident because we thought that the things we were doing were going to get us to the next level, but they did not. So now it's time to look at what we were doing and switch up the game. Have you been moping around for the past 6 months? Or have you been doing the opposite? Have you just been ignoring the whole thing? I know a situation where there's a pastor, a wife, and several church members who died from COVID because they did not follow the rules. And the rules were no gatherings. Now, yes, I love the Lord, but we also supposed to follow the law. And the law says stay home. So stay home. There are no gatherings. In the state of California, they are turning people's water off if they find out that you have a big gathering. There are people who are violating themselves simply because they think that, being free means you can walk around and contaminate other people without having a mask on. Wear your mask if you're going outside. And if you're not going to wear a mask, then stay inside like I do. I go out when I have to, and that mask is hot. And when I go out, I have to go on set to be in the studio, and my makeup is hot. And so I'm like, I can't do this. But when I go out, I follow the rules. So what are you going to do differently in this season to take yourself to the next level? I'll tell you one thing that I did differently, that I'm doing differently. I've lost a whole bunch of weight because I stopped eating carbohydrates. I can't eat carbohydrates. First of all, they make me feel terrible the moment they go into my body. And I'm talking about bread. I'm talking about sugar. I'm talking about even your cocktail, your glass of wine, one a day or whatever it is that you're having, all of it. So I stopped instantly. And I felt completely different. I felt completely full of energy. And I remember the first 2 days that I stopped eating any carbohydrates, bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, all of that stuff. I was up for like 2 days straight. I had so much energy because sugar gives you a high and then it gives you an immediate low. And then you go back and want more sugar. And I was drinking pineapple juice. It was crazy. How are you going to change the game? For me, going into beyond 2020, going into the fourth quarter mode simply means I'm going to change what I put in my body so that my body can actually function properly, so that my brain can work how it's designed to work. That's what that means for me. What does it mean for you? Does it mean that you cut off some people? Does it mean that you actually wake up every single day and give yourself a schedule? Does it mean that you actually start to put in the work to start your home-based business? Does it mean you get an education? Let me tell you something. I don't care how hard you try. You are not going to be financially free without some kind of a financial education. You're going to have to learn from somebody. You're going to have to follow something and do it and study it again and figure out what are the parameters around it. Right now, my entire team, I'm in a couple of investment clubs. We're studying the stock market. We know that there's going to be another crash, and we know that this is going to be an opportunity to invest and or trade, short-term or long-term, and do something great. And we plan to not just earn money from our investments, but also to give back, to give loans to small businesses that need to recover. As a matter of fact, you need to join me tonight, Business 911. We are starting to give away grants every single Tuesday during the month of October on the Business 911 call. Go to asklynn.org, and fill out the information and get the information that you need to go to the next level. It doesn't matter what day of the week this is. Go to asklynn.org, fill out the information so that you can get to the next level and be a part of Business 911. Business 911 isn't going anywhere. So it's here. Okay. So what are you going to do differently? Here's something else that you have to do if you're going to change up the game. Whenever the Bulls would be down in the fourth quarter, sometimes you'd see the same players in the game throughout the game. But then in that fourth quarter, somebody else would come off the bench. And somebody else would be used strategically in an entirely different way. I remember games, there were times when Michael Jordan sat down almost for the entire fourth quarter. I remember there were a couple of times that happened. So who do you need to pull off the bench? Are there old business partners that you need to reconnect with? Is there somebody who had an idea that you started a conversation with that you can now rekindle that conversation, rekindle that relationship, rekindle that idea? Are there some people on your team who need to move off of the team? Do you need to put somebody on the bench and take somebody off? Do you have any haters, blockers, naysayers, and crab barrel leg pullers in your life? If you do, they need to not only get on the bench, you need to treat them like a performance in Carnegie Hall. They need to go in the balcony. Okay? They can no longer sit in the front row of your life. And they can go on the balcony. So they can still see you shine, but you cannot see them. You can't see nobody in the balcony, but they can see you. Right? And you don't even have to be dramatic about it. That's the other thing. We got to stop telling folks, hey, I'm not going to do this. Hey, I'm not going to do that. Just be cool. Make your decisions, have your power, move in your plan, and keep going beyond 2020. This is about developing a fourth quarter strategy that is going to help you win. It's going to help you win. Here's something else that you want to do in the fourth quarter. You want to learn the things that you didn't know so that you can now grow. You see, your best thinking got you here. That's good or bad. So let's just take an example. Let's take two examples. I'm doing well. The business is doing well. All of my businesses are doing well. MC Light is selling TV shows. She did the VO for the BET Awards, the NAACP Image Awards, Ad Color. She did some stuff. She VO'd the Emmys. Now she's VO'ing. She's VO'd the Eastern Conference Finals. She's doing well. Our writers are doing well. Our DJs, our stylists, folks are doing well. But guess what? My best thinking got me here, and I want to do great. I want to do better than well. I want to do greater than great. So if I want to do better than well and greater than great, then I've got to learn something new. Let's take the opposite. Let's say you're not in a good situation. Your best thinking got you there. So now it's time to undo all the doing that you have done and redo some new stuff with some new thinking and some new people pouring into you. You can't get to the next level with the old devils. You can't do it. You've got to find new energy, new information, and then you've got to trust. You see, it was so interesting because I saw an episode of Speak On It with Candy Burris and Brat, and she was talking about her struggles, and she was talking about being from Chicago and going into entertainment, and things are going well for her. But she talked about some other ideas that she has and that she can't really activate them because she don't trust anybody. Let me tell you something about not trusting anybody. Trust yourself. If you trust yourself, you can trust everybody. Let me repeat. If you trust yourself, then you can trust everybody. Because see, trusting anybody ain't about them. It's about trusting you. If you trust yourself, then when you see something wrong, you will speak up. If you trust yourself and you see a red flag, then you'll go in the other direction. If you trust yourself, then you will have the courage and the power to make the right decisions that you're supposed to make when something goes awry. You see, it's when you don't trust yourself that person stole something from you or that person stabbed you in the back, but you saw something, you knew something was off, but you didn't have the power or the courage to deal with it. How many of us are still employing people in jobs because we feel sorry for them? We know their kids, we know their husband, we know their mama, we know everybody, but they're not doing a good job, so you just keep them there. No, you're not doing yourself a service, nor are you doing them a service. When you keep somebody in a position where you do not feel they are lifting you up and they are not doing it, perhaps there's something else out there for them. So you can't trust anybody, but you got to trust somebody. So you might as well start trusting yourself and then ask God to show you who's supposed to be around you and trust them. And then when they show you something different, move on. Okay? So we don't want to keep living this life not trusting anybody. You can't go anywhere because if you don't trust anybody, you're going to behave that way. And people can lie, but energy cannot. People can lie, but energy cannot. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. We are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. That means you. Guess what? We have to take a break for traffic and weather. We'll be right back. WVON.
Get better every day intentionally with Lynn's List member attorney Serena Williams. Whether you need a business coach, an estate plan, a family mediator, or an annual legal checkup, Attorney Serena Williams can help you move past your business and financial doubts and get better every day intentionally. You can find Attorney Williams on Lynn's List at www.lynnmillionaire.com. That's www.lynnmillionaire.com or by calling 888-LYNN123. That's 888-596-6123.
Hey, now welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. And we are creating millionaires, one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. We're talking about fourth quarter, maximizing this opportunity to go beyond 2020. Everything that I've ever done that has been magnificent has been in the fourth quarter. $1 Million Roundtable, fourth quarter. Rookie of the Year, fourth quarter. I remember we did a Lights album, and her record, she hadn't come out with a record in a long time. She recorded an episode of Being for BET, and the team got busy. She didn't have a record deal or anything, and she became, I think, number 1 or number 2 on the Twitter billboard, fourth quarter. Hashtag Educate Our Men. We started giving away our scholarships, fourth quarter. Anything that I've ever done, fourth quarter. This time last year, I was sitting in the same exact position in planning for fourth quarter. And then here's what happens when you strategize and you have a magnificent, well thought out fourth quarter. You start the new year ahead of the game. Let me tell you something. If 2020 has taught us anything, you cannot afford to sleep. You cannot afford to sit back, wait and see what's going to happen. You have to get ahead of the game. You have to get a head start. So when most people are trying to figure out what they're going to do beyond 2020, after 2020, you've already got your strategy in place. You've got your cylinders flowing and you've got things going. So I got to give you some practical things that you can do beyond 2020. Number 1, get a financial education. If you don't have any money, if you are living check to Monday, if your money is funny and your change is strange, if you keep finding yourself broke, if your money is going out faster than it's coming in, if you're worried about how you're going to get it, where it's going to come from, how you're going to keep it, if it just is not working for you, you need a financial education. 21 days to financial freedom. The freedom package, 21 days to financial freedom, and how to start a home-based business. It's critical. Lives are changing all over the globe. I have students in Saudi Arabia. I have students in Australia. I have students in Kenya. I have students all over the globe. If you're listening to this, get in the game. Get a financial education. Learn how to undo what you've done so you can start to win, okay? And no shame. Everybody has either had a money problem, is having a money problem, or will have a money problem at some time in the future. Grab somebody to go along this path with you. Maybe it's a child. Maybe it's a significant other. Maybe it's your parent. Maybe it's an aunt, an uncle, a best friend. Get on the path to financial freedom with somebody. It's kind of like having an exercise partner. Now, you can't take everybody with you and you can't become codependent on them doing what they're supposed to do. But it's great when you can take a look at this. Start a book club. Go and get a couple of the books and then get together over Zoom with your friends and talk about some of the things that you want to do differently. That's what I'm doing with my family now. I've got a family full of, intelligent, young people. And I often say, if you're smart, prove it. Get some smart conditions, right? Because if you're in a dumb condition, that means you made some dumb choices. And that's not really smart. When I was in a dumb financial situation, it's because I was matching what I was in. I wasn't smart. I thought I was smart. I had academic smarts, but they didn't help me when it came to, and my academic smarts were actually the thing that I was dumb in. Okay. A degree in economics, math, and finance doesn't get any better than that. I should have been a genius, a whiz. But if you don't apply common sense to your situation, so get a financial education. A financial education is a common sense application of money and how it works in your life. A financial education is how you're actually going to live out the principles. A financial education says, what am I going to do when someone asks me to spend money I don't have? My significant other, my children. Children run the biggest guilt trips on parents. They don't even have to say anything. We go into the situation feeling guilty. We go into the situation saying, I want to give my kids more than I had. And then you spend all your money trying to do it, and it's not the truth. And the truth is, when you spend money you don't have on your kids, then what you're teaching them how to do is lie. You're teaching them how to live beyond their means and to spend money on stuff they don't have to prove a point. And that's not a winning strategy. So you want to get a financial education. You want to learn how to get a bounce back after bankruptcy? Attorney Deidre Wood Stokes is teaching a class. You have a company, an LLC or corporation. When was the last time you put a resolution in your corporate record book? If you don't know what a resolution is, and if you don't have a corporate record book, you are a sitting duck, waiting to be sued or waiting to be audited. And when you have an LLC or a corporation or a partnership, you can't speak for your business. Your corporate record book has to speak for you. There's a class for that. There's a class for how to invest in the stock market. There's a class for in your battle with money for good. There's a class to get your credit straight. There's a class to build your business credit. Get a financial education. Okay? Now, is money everything? No, but it's like oxygen. You got to have it. You got to have it. So right now we're taking care of our health. We're staying COVID free. We are, washing our hands, and we're doing all of those things. But you also have to take care of your wealth. As a matter of fact, the two are one and the same. If you say to me health, I say that means I have peace of mind, peace of spirit, peace of energy, and peace in my finances. That's health. If you tell me, well, what is wealth? Wealth is not just the amount of money you have in the bank. Wealth is peace of mind, peace of spirit, peace in your purpose, and peace in your bank account. That's what wealth is. It's not, some people need $1 billion to have wealth. Others only need 100,000. It's not about how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. And are you spending less than what you have? So this is about fourth quarter. Let's redo it. Rewind, rejuvenate, revive, reinvigorate. Take a look at what didn't work. Scratch those things out. Go back to the drawing board. Write. Thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through your fingertips. Now is the time to move beyond 2020. We've had enough. Thank you. It was nice. Okay. And for those who've been successful, massively successful, there are businesses. Go take a look and study the stock market. Go to yahoofinance.com and look at the historical, stock prices for things like Apple and Tesla and, Amazon, and go research and see what's happening with electric cars, and, listen to some of the reports that the investors and the researchers are taking a look and saying what's going to happen to our world, not only our economy, but our world, and how does it impact us? Do you know that there's a huge number of people and a huge part of the economy that will not exist at all in about 5 or 6 years, which means people are going to be out of jobs? Okay, so you want to know those things, and I'm going to talk about those things. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation. Follow me at Lynn Richardson. Follow this radio show at Lynn Millionaire. Follow New Wealth University at New Wealth University. Get in class, Business 911. We're giving away a $2,500 grant every Tuesday night beyond 2020. I want you to master the game, and I want you to get your fourth quarter strategy in check. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.